In this world, legends speak of one who came from a strange, distant land. By some miraculous means, he possessed the power of both gods and demons. In just 55 years, he unified the entire continent. The world trembled whenever his title was spoken emperor of the Anu Empire. A supernatural calamity descended from another world. The immortal king of the underworld, ruler of the living. No title was more fitting. Countless beings knelt before the infinite power of Kangjun. Any who dared to resist were turned into immortals and forced to swear eternal loyalty to him. The dragons that once spread terror across the continent. The Demon King and the 7 Great Dukes of Hell. The Supreme Demon Clan. The Grand Master of the Martial Alliance. The Divine Spirits guarding the sacred tree. None of them could stand against him. Naturally, all worlds connected to Anu submitted to Kangjun's reign. But how could mere mortals comprehend the will of such a being for what he truly yearned for was simply to return home? To return to Earth, Vav says, that was his only wish. But one day he made an official announcement. Hear me, my loyal subjects. Despite searching across all dimensions, Kangjun could not find a way back to his homeland. Finally, he summoned all his generals and vassals and spoke his face devoid of emotion. I am weary. I wish only for eternal rest. All his retainers were horrified in unison. Your Majesty, what do you mean by that? We will continue to search for a way to send you home? However, Kangjun no longer held any hope. Even if I could return, what would be waiting for me there? Nearly 300 years have passed since I left. My loved ones, my friends, they have all grown old, sick and buried deep beneath the earth. At last he had realized the truth. I have lived for far too long. Those words made his subjects pause for a moment. Your Majesty. Kangjun did not wait for them to speak and continued. Therefore, from this day forward, with decisive finality, he ordered, use all your power to find a way to put me into an eternal slumber as his imposing figure departed. The great hall was left filled with sounds of disbelief and shock. Your Majesty, that day the imperial palace was filled with wails of sorrow, but no one dared to defy Kangjun's command. In the end, the Grand Mages created a terrifying magic circle, powerful enough to swallow everything in existence. As soon as the circle was complete, he appeared on his own, without needing to be summoned. In his final moments, he finally smiled, after years of sealing his emotions. At last, I will see them again. With only those words, Kangjun stepped into the magic circle alone. And just before he was about to depart, Capsley suddenly rushed forward. Your Majesty, his companions called out in surprise. Capsley, but they could not stop his loyalty. I, Capsley, will follow you even unto death. Kangjun's steps did not falter. The old man also resolutely stepped into the magic circle with Kangjun. A wondrous and divine light began to activate, engulfing the bodies of the two men. And so everything ended. Or so Capsley thought. Faced with an assault of blinding light, a sharp voice rang out. Hey, why are you sitting in the dark, huh? The old man hurriedly shielded himself like a vampire facing the sun. Kangjun sternly reminded him, I told you. Don't just sit moping in the house. Turn on the lights. He slowly carried Cheola and walked in. Capsley felt mentally exhausted. My apologies. It's just that on gloomy nights like this, even a single candle is brighter than the sun. However, he showed no pity for that pale face. Still talking back, are you? If you're truly sorry, then be quiet. The old man quickly changed the subject. Your Majesty, why are you still awake at this hour? Kangjun glared back and stated the obvious. Are you messing with me? The little one has to sleep before I can sleep. Who knew that hearing this would make Capsley so emotional? Please, just kill me. This made his face turn deathly pale. Keep your voice down. You'll wake the baby. But before he could finish his sentence, the sound of sobbing began. Cheola started her performance, her wails echoing like a lofi, chill track. The two of them froze for a moment. Then Kangjun frantically tried to handle the situation. You made her cry, so you deal with it seriously. Why is she crying again? Capsley ventured a suggestion. My apologies, but perhaps the little one is hungry, Your Majesty. He quickly dismissed the advice. I just fed her porridge. But he still wouldn't give up on his advisory duties. My apologies then. Sometimes the answers he received were like a slap in the face. Without a perfect explanation, he finally had to accept the truth. I apologize, Your Majesty, but with my meager understanding, I do not know the cause. Kangjun turned away, 30% helpless, 70%, feeling like a useless father. Then he frantically signaled Cheola to be quiet. Only then did Dronzer resume his daily note-taking. Every line he wrote made him sigh wearily. Just then, a loud announcement came from outside. This is an emergency. His eyes immediately lit up like headlights at the words that followed. The late-night snack I ordered for us is here. Dronzer's energy shot up exponentially. A late-night snack? It only took him a few seconds to surrender to his instincts. Fried chicken. It's fried chicken. A gust of wind swept by, flipping the pages of his notes. They finally settled on a particular entry. And thus, because of that failed ritual, Kangjun had finally returned to the home he always longed for. But in this world, where he had neither a wife nor a lover, someone he never expected was waiting for him, the little princess. Before everyone's eyes was the divine, delicious combo of fried chicken and Coke. Dronzer praised it endlessly. It's always incredibly delicious, Lady Subin. She was also very happy and satisfied. Yes, please eat a lot. Then she turned to take care of the little girl. I can hold Chiola and feed her, so just relax and eat. Was everything okay at home today? You must still feel very confused, right? But Kangjun was honest with his feelings. I'm completely fine. I was home all day and didn't feel confused at all. But Subin was extremely worried about him. No, you must still be very confused. After all, you've been through so much. He calmly tried to reassure her. No, really, I'm fine. She continued to share her thoughts. Kangjun, you don't have to pretend to be strong. I'm just grateful that you came back alive. This suddenly reminded Subin of the horrifying event from years ago. You disappeared during the first gate incident. It's been so many years, hasn't it? Being trapped in there for all that time, it's no wonder you can't be normal right away. He tried to explain in vain, like I've told you so many times. I wasn't trapped in a gate, I was summoned to a place called the Anu continent. However, Subin only half listened, not taking him seriously. Right, and I suppose you're about to tell me you were the mighty emperor of that continent again, Kangjun stressed seriously. It's not a story, it's the truth. In the eyes of others, however, he was just an unemployed youth who had returned from a gate. She decided to play along. Right. So who is that elder over there? Dronzer reacted very quickly. I am Satya von Zegrapsli Lady Subin. The biography he introduced was incredibly grand. In short, I once assisted His Majesty in ruling the country and was responsible for all administrative affairs on his behalf. But to others, his current profession was exactly the same as Kangjun's. To a person with a stable job as a factory worker. Subin did her best to appear understanding through her confusion. I see. In the end, she rationalized it to convince herself. While most people who return from gates suffer from psychological trauma, some even lose the ability to speak. Very quickly, she gently came to a conclusion. It seems you and that elder are just a little delusional. Congratulations. Kangjun's mood immediately plummeted. Even coming from his own sister, those words were insulting. Are you treating me like I'm crazy? Subin, thinking he was in a sensitive phase, quickly tried to comfort him. Okay. Kangjun, you've only just returned after 3 years. It must be hard to adapt to your current life right away. Although she misunderstood the truth, she had immense faith in him. But you have Teola. You're still young and have a future ahead of you. Don't worry, just take your time to settle down. I'll do my best to help. Furthermore, she didn't mind taking in one more person. And elder, if you haven't been able to contact your family, please feel free to stay here. Dronzer was overjoyed. Lady Subin, I am eternally grateful. Meanwhile, Kangjun noticed Teola's actions. The little girl gave an innocent smile, asking for help. Daddy. Like the other two, she was also unemployed, but her advantage was that she was good at crying. He quickly understood the problem Teola was facing. He then proactively offered a suggestion. Let me tie it for you. The familiar action reminded Kangjun of his glorious past. I used to personally tie the nooses to execute rebels and serious criminals. Teola innocently repeated it out of habit. Execute. He felt no hesitation in teaching a child this. That's right, watch closely. If you tighten the knot like this, the chicken bone's fate was quickly decided. Its neck will snap immediately. Subin, horrified, shouted to stop him. Hey, Li Kangjun, she was utterly bewildered by his logic. What in the world are you teaching that child? At the same time, he also didn't understand his own agitated reaction. I just wanted to teach her a few things, like a father. Subin immediately changed the subject. That's enough of this age-restricted talk. Wipe Teola's face and don't tell those creepy stories anymore. Kangjun couldn't help but sigh wearily. Being a father is so hard. Even so, he obediently listened to her. And from a distance, it was a heartwarming scene of fatherly love. The burden in her heart also lightened somewhat. See, she likes being touched by her dad. He then stood up holding Teola in his arms, deciding to take her to her room to sleep. The little girl's room was filled with a childish and innocent atmosphere, and Kangjun gently placed her down on the mattress. The more he looked at her, the more miraculous it felt. My daughter, the child born in my absence. When he first returned, Subin had delivered shocking news. Her name is Li Teola. When you went missing, her mother passed away during childbirth. Do you remember anything about it? Kangjun's face went blank. I'm not sure that was about 300 years ago. She was just stunned. 300, I see? Anyway, she's still your daughter, so you have to take good care of her. Now, thinking back on it, he felt a certain happiness. It probably won't be so bad. A long time ago, Dronzer had a question. Your Majesty, if you could return to your homeland, what would you want to do most? At the time, this was both a longing and a worry for Kangjun. If I could return, his wish was more ordinary than anyone else's. I just want to live a peaceful and simple life, a quiet life, where no one pays me any mind. And now that seemingly impossible wish was right before his eyes. Living peacefully and raising his child, Kangjun gradually settled into his new life. This was also the simplest form of happiness. Just as he stood up, he noticed a strange stack of papers on the table and was immediately drawn to them. Their contents overdue payment notices made him pensive. The next afternoon, Kangjun decided to make a serious announcement. It seems we have encountered a great obstacle. Dronzer asked in confusion an obstacle, but he continued to focus on being a model father. Yes, is it delicious? Teola ate happily without stopping, exclaiming that it was yummy. Dronzer could only guess that the obstacle His Majesty mentioned was that pile of papers. With a stone-cold expression, Kangjun ordered him to read it out loud. Dronzer suddenly felt tense as he held the paper. Each item was an intractable problem. Debt collection notice for unpaid telecommunication fees. Next, notice of water supply suspension for an overdue bill. Go on. Warning of electricity disconnection for continued late payment. Next, a notice of gas service suspension for non-payment. He suddenly signaled, that's enough, stop reading. I get the picture. He carefully confirmed once more. Your Majesty, I presume to ask, are these debt collection notices? Kang Jun nonchalantly laid out the truth. Just as you guessed. She didn't mention it, but it seems the family's financial situation is a complete disaster. However, Doncel's mindset was still stuck in the golden age. How insolent. Who dares demand money from the royal family? I suggest we temporarily raise taxes and apply a progressive tax on the nobility. Kang Jun couldn't help but snort, and finally he burst out laughing. Tax the nobility. A progressive. What? This left him bewildered and fearful. Your Majesty, he reluctantly gave the man a wake-up call. You've got it all wrong, Doncel. If you compare my status in this world to that on the Anu continent, Kang Jun was clearly aware of the current social pyramid. I'm no different than a slave or a commoner. I have to perform hard labor for the ruling class, just to earn a few coins to get by. This time his worldview was violently shaken. Doncel couldn't help but recall his past achievements. I, a pure-blooded vampire of royal lineage, was once the lord of the entire clan. I was made a Grand Duke for countless glorious achievements in battle. His worldview officially and completely collapsed. And now I'm a slave in this world. For the first time in his life, Doncel was at a loss. Calm down. A true retainer must remain loyal even in adversity. He quickly recomposed himself. I will devote my all, so that even here on Earth your empire may rise again. Kang Jun reacted as nonchalantly as ever. Suit yourself. But his own determination was immense. In any case, I have to start making money now. Chiola's sweet voice suddenly rang out resentfully. No matter how much Kang Jun pleaded. Just a little more. The little girl insisted on having her way, confusing Subin. What's with that expression, Your Majesty? I personally cooked this special black sesame porridge for the young lady. But why doesn't she like it? This scene made him carefully recall what he had read in a parenting book. When a child refuses to eat, never force them. It's better to turn the meal into a fun game. So he had no choice but to lower his voice to communicate on equal terms with Chiola. All right, let's play this game, shall we? Let's see who can chew and swallow the best. If you win, His Majesty will play any game you want today. What do you say? Dare to play. The tempting offer ignited the rebellious spirit in the little girl more fiercely than ever. Deal. Thanks to that, Subin could peacefully feed the baby spoonful after spoonful of porridge without any trouble. Good girl, my daughter, eat with gusto. You have to beat Daddy, okay? Hearing that, he smirked maliciously. Too slow. His mind began to churn out thoughts that couldn't be spoken aloud. The Anu continent, a place overrun with monsters in the middle of that hellish land. A man became the absolute one through sheer determination, even if it was just to catch a rabbit. Sorry about this, but at that speed, you'll never beat Daddy. As soon as the thoughts passed, Kang Jun hastily grabbed his chopsticks and ate his meal as fast as lightning, looking no different from a grinder trying to communicate while chewing his food. He continued with Ciola. Sorry, but at that speed, you'll never beat Daddy. His blunt and crude way of speaking gave the little girl the first memorable shock of her life, before 2 streams of tears began to fall, streaming down her milky-scented face. Subin quickly picked up the wailing child, not forgetting to scold her brother. Kang Jun, what are you doing making the baby cry like that? But upon hearing his nonchalant reply, I didn't do it on purpose, she could only let out an exasperated sigh. It looks exactly like you were trying to make her cry. The whole room fell silent as Kang Jun began to lecture the baby in the tone of a military instructor. Kiola, if you think it's unfair, then get stronger. Unsurprisingly, Ciola wailed even louder despite Subin trying to soothe her. That chaotic scene was quickly noted down by Don Shui with a few simple sentences. This morning during breakfast, His Majesty the Emperor challenged the princess to an eating contest, and despite his opponent being only 3 years old, His Majesty used his full strength and claimed victory. The future of the empire is truly worrisome. A while later, while Subin was busy cleaning up, she suddenly heard Kang Jun call out to her. Sis, can I go out today? It made her look surprised. So suddenly, it's my day off today, so I can look after Ciola. But you shouldn't go alone, okay? Understanding her concern, Don Shui proactively took on the responsibility of protecting him. It's all right, I will accompany him. But that made Subin hesitate. What you're going to, sir? She asked, momentarily stunned. The trio proceeded to board the bus and waited for it to move. Kang Jun looked out the window melancholically, his mind echoing with Subin's hesitant voice. Money. To be honest, I don't have a single penny left. This area is dangerous, but the rent is cheap, though it gets deducted from the security deposit every month. There's not much left now. When she heard Kang Jun's questioning tone, how much do you need, she just awkwardly waved it off. Don't worry, I'll manage. I just wish this week's lottery ticket would win 10 billion, that would be great. Then we could move to a safe place and I could spend all my time with Ciola until I find a stable job. She's at an age where she needs so much love and attention. Subin's melancholic face made Kang Jun sigh in frustration. At least these are just money problems, which is a relief, he thought before speaking to Don Shui. I've thought about it. To blend in with this world, you need a new name. The unexpected statement shocked him so much that he had to ask again to be sure. A new name for this humble servant. Your Majesty? Even though the person next to them was staring, Kang Jun continued nonchalantly, as if he didn't notice. That's right. I've thought of a name more suitable for this world. From now on, you will no longer be Satya Vons Crabsley. Don Shue was both excited and nervous, waiting for the new identity personally bestowed by His Majesty. A new name is such an immense honor. That was until he heard the lamest naming attempt ever from him. Your name will be Choi Don Shue. He began to mutter Choi Don Shue while his mind started to voice its confusion. I haven't been in this world for long, but that name sounds a little strange somehow. But as soon as he heard Kang Jun's question, "What, you don't like it?" Don Shue hurriedly shook his head vigorously. No, that's not it at all. But the other person still looked unconvinced by that statement. Then what's with that face? Don Shue is a name reserved only for the most loyal retainers. Don means stone, and Shue means iron. It symbolizes unbreakable loyalty and strength. But if you really don't like it, Kang, Jun had barely said that when Don Shue hastily cut him off. How could this servant dare to dislike it? Being granted a name by your majesty is the greatest honor of all. Seeing the other person's happy face, he nodded along in agreement. Good, I'm glad you like it. But inwardly, he sighed. Truthfully, it's still better than the first name I came up with. After walking for a while, Kang Jun then signaled to the old man when the bus stopped. Don Shue, we're here. Let's get off. His aged face looked around in confusion. Your Majesty, forgive this foolish servant's ignorance, but where are we going? He paused in thought for a moment before arrogantly declaring, Today, we're going to a gate. This made Don Shue so excited he grinned from ear to ear, as if he'd won the lottery. A gate? You mean a place where ferocious monsters gather? As expected of your Majesty's bold and wise decision, hearing Kang Jun's question. What are you so excited about? The old man couldn't help but look mysterious as he began to explain. Even the sharpest sword will rust if it's never drawn. It's been a long time since I've moved my body or heard the screams on a blood-soaked battlefield, but his thrilled expression was completely ignored by Kang Jun. Well, that's probably not happening today. Today we're just porters. That made the joyful Don Shue freeze completely. What porters? Meanwhile, Kang Jun calmly explained. That's right. To hunt monsters in a gate, you need a special license, and each one costs around 1 million won. At that, the old man hastily knelt in the middle of the street, wailing loudly, Your Majesty, you cannot possibly lower yourself to such a level. Please allow this servant to cover all the costs until things are settled. The murmurs of passers-by began to rise. What's that all about? Is that old man kneeling in front of that kid? This sent Kang Jun into a panic as he ordered, Hey, stop it, you're embarrassing me to death. Everyone's staring. But Don Shue, caught up in his display of loyalty, held his position. Even if it costs me my life. This servant will absolutely not allow your Majesty to perform the menial work of a porter. This forced Kang Jun to use a terrifyingly angry expression to snap him out of it. You really aren't going to stand up, are you? Do you want to die? A wave of fear washed over the old man, his face turning pale. He's angry. If I argue now, I'll probably be bedridden by tomorrow. For that very reason, Don Shue could only stand up awkwardly. This servant begs your Majesty's forgiveness. At that sight, Kang Jun sighed and patted his shoulder. It's fine. Did you think I couldn't see your loyalty? Don't worry, being a porter pays about 300,000 a day. After we cover the costs and the license fee, we won't have to do it for long. Their conversation was suddenly cut short by a strange voice. Excuse me, a man named Bonggu shyly stepped forward and asked, Are you the two who registered to be porters for the D-Rank gate today? A dark purple gate had emerged in the middle of the street, tightly guarded by soldiers. But the magnificent sight didn't seem to interest the public at all, a fact Kang Jun noted with his eagle eyes. Even though the gate was open, people walked past as if nothing was happening, but he still didn't forget to listen to Bonggu's introduction. These are the new porters who will be joining us this time. Byung-chun looked at the pair and immediately showed his dissatisfaction. Wait, seriously, an old man and a scrawny kid want to be porters. Damn it. While Kang Jun remained silent, Don Shue politely introduced himself. I may be old, but carrying these things is no problem at all. It's a pleasure to meet you. I am Choi Don Shue. But before he could add anything else, the hostile man cut him off. Hey, old man, this job is tough even for strong, healthy young guys. What's a wrinkly old man and a sickly kid doing here? That abrasive attitude made Don Shue whisper to his master, Sire, I apologize for my impertinence, but that guy's foul expression. Jun sighed wearily. What now? Until he heard the man's question. Should I kill them? He calmly held back his subordinate, who was about to go berserk. Not yet. For the next 3 or 4 days, we'll work as porters to earn money for the fake awakening license. That reminder made Don Shue's eyes widen in astonishment. Of course, your Majesty is always so far-sighted. I almost made a grave mistake. While the old man was busy blaming himself, Kang Jun had already stepped forward to speak. Who is the leader here? Bonggu shyly raised his hand. That would be me. I am the team leader. The two quickly had a short conversation about the job. Are you hesitating to hire us because you find us untrustworthy? Well, that's part of it. Don't underestimate us. We are both very confident in our strength. I guarantee we won't get tired before you do, and we won't slow down the team's progress. The young man then sadly scratched his head and thought, What should I do? My mom and my little brother. I really need a lot of money this week. I can't afford to miss this gate. After pulling himself together, Bonggu quickly turned to ask his teammate, I think we should take them. What do you think? That question made Byung-chun blurt out, Are you serious? It's just a D-rank gate. It shouldn't be a big problem. The two of us can handle it. But hearing the other person mumble about having to pay for his mom's hospital bills, his younger brother's tuition, and a school trip this week, he could only lower his voice and concede. Well, it's just a D-rank gate, after all. But we must be careful. That immediately eased Bongo's anxiety. Thank you for understanding. Byung-chun, on the other hand, awkwardly turned his head away. It's nothing. Come to think of it, that trash rank hunter is still on our team. He's useless in combat, so we might as well have him carry some extra stuff and be a porter. So the luggage issue was solved? That remark startled Kang-jun. It seems there's one more person. But as if hearing his thoughts, Byung-chun suddenly turned and yelled, "Hey, you piece of trash, aren't you coming? I only told you to buy 1 cup of coffee." Finally being rushed, the other guy hurried to the meeting point. Sorry. The sight of him offering the coffee to Byung-chun made Kang-jun scoff inwardly. So low-rank hunters get treated like servants after all, huh? It seems Earth is no different from the Anu continent now, a place ruled by the law of the jungle. It's truly bitter. A while later, after the initial get-to-know-you chat ended, Byung-chun irritably cleared his throat. What is everyone standing around for? Aren't you going to get ready? Do you want to set off tomorrow? Hey, you trash rank? Stay at the back and carry the luggage. Do you really think that old man and that skinny kid can carry anything properly? This completely unfair division of labor made the other teammate demand his rights. What is this? That's a bit much. Only to be met with a scolding worse than anything his mother could dish out at home. We let you come along out of pity. And now you piece of trash dares to talk back to me. To be honest, if you were up front, you would just get in the way. For that reason, he could only swallow his pride and grit his teeth. I understand. Then Byung-chun's eyes darted over to Kang-jun. And you too, you idiot. This made him frown in confusion. Idiot. His composed appearance angered the man who launched a preemptive verbal attack. That's right, you kid. Listen, once we're inside, nobody has time to worry about your life. Don't drag us down. Same goes for you, old man. That made Dongsis so angry, a vein bulged on his face as he restrained himself. How insolent. Daring to speak to an elder that way. Watching the grumpy Byung-chun leave the teammate who arrived late, gently offered to take the hardest part. I'll carry the heaviest load. Even though I'm an F-rank awakened, I'm still an awakened. I may not be of any help in a fight. But I can at least carry a few bags. Kang-jun had no intention of fighting over it, so he nodded immediately. All right. However, he didn't leave right away and just stood there staring at the other guy, making him look awkward. Is something wrong? Kang-jun was silent for a moment before sighing and speaking. It's just one piece of advice. I need to earn money today, understand? So I don't want any trouble. The sudden remark left the man looking confused. Huh. What do you mean by that? And yet he continued in a stern, intimidating voice. Just play your part for today. Keep pretending to be weak and clumsy, just like you've been doing. This was despite the other guy still looking puzzled and feigning ignorance. Kang-jun wasn't fooled by that look and continued his intimidation. Just stay quiet, carry the gear, and come back. That's not too hard, is it? With that said, he quickly turned and left without waiting for a reply. Hey, let's go. With an enthusiastic Dongsi carrying the bags behind him. Yes, sir. The group made their way to the spatial gate. It was Kang-jun's first time here, so he felt a little out of place. This is the check-in procedure. The gate attendant was busy reviewing the registration details. Hunter Kim Bongu C rank with 4 others. Reservation confirmed for the gate near Guro Digital Complex Station. You may enter. But this is just a D-rank gate still. There have been several consecutive deaths here recently. Upon hearing this, Bongu looked worried. Deaths, to which he received a grim reply from the man. Yes, the management office is currently investigating it. They say the difficulty level isn't high, but no one knows why these incidents keep happening one after another. Though a little worried, he could only nod dejectedly. Yes, thank you. The spatial gate remained open despite the mood of the participants having soured from what it was initially. The party of 5 stood staring intently at it. At a loss for words, Bongu summoned all his courage and stepped into the gate. His large frame quickly disappeared into the purple haze of energy. The other 2 teammates swiftly followed him. Kang-jun also slowly moved forward with Dronzer. Let's go in. Yes, sir. Just like that, a space gate swallowed the 5 men. A few seconds later, in a pitch-black space, the system's notifications echoed all around. Registering player information. Quantifying players' combat ability. Retrieving player achievements. 10%. 40%. 80%. Players' physical stats exceed the standard limit. Unable to measure accurately. Player information successfully registered. When the notification ended, the group found themselves standing in a bizarre dead forest. Byung-chun looked around anxiously, feeling that something was not right with this gate. I heard undead-type monsters appear here, right? Although Bongu felt the same unease, he kept his composure to give the order. That's right. Be careful and let's clear this out quickly. Meanwhile, Kang-jun, who was walking behind them, was startled by what appeared before his eyes. The system suddenly brought up a stat window longer than a royal scroll, leaving him completely stunned. What is this? As his eyes quickly scanned everything, he couldn't help but feel a surge of dissatisfaction. Level 1. What nonsense. Even I can't fully measure my own power. Who dares to quantify it like this? And what's with that spiritual power stat? Anyway, these titles are just ridiculous. Seeing the line, SS rank, Grand Soul Summoner Kang-jun suddenly recalled a memory from his past. Grand Soul Summoner. That's probably the title I got when I reached the 9th circle of dark magic. But when he read the line SS rank Space Invader, he frowned and broke into a cold sweat. That must be from when I accidentally disrupted multiple dimensions, while trying to find my way to Earth. A flood of memories rushed back, giving Kangjun a throbbing headache. But when he thought of the title SS rank Demon Slayer, he let out a weary sigh. It's unbelievable, but I suppose I did kill millions of demons with my own hands. At that rate, for every title that appeared Kang, you had to make a comment. S rank Dragon Slayer, that must be from when I killed that dragon last year. S rank World Tree Plunderer, for real. They even made a title for plundering the World Tree from the Spirit Realm. I just moved it to the Royal Palace Garden because there was an empty spot. I didn't expect it to wither so quickly. The constant stream of old memories didn't make Kangjun any less curious about his stats until he saw the cold impersonal text. Player level is too low to summon contracted servants. His genius mind wasn't disappointed, but instead grew more excited than ever. So this feature really exists, meaning if I level up, I can summon the servants I contracted with, not just Monopoly. How convenient would it be if I could summon not only Craftsley, but also the Royal Guard, the Imperial Court, the Command Headquarters, and the Ministry of Finance to Earth? Too bad, his spacing out was caught by Byung-chun, who started yelling at him. Hey, you idiot. Do you realize you just stepped into a place where your life is on the line, and you're still spacing out? Knowing he was in the wrong, Kangjun didn't talk back but just cleared his throat and said, let's move on. That one sentence made the emotionally fractured team advance deeper into the dead forest, unaware of the horror that was about to befall them. In the dark forest, a voice rang out. Damn it, this place gives me a bad feeling, Byung-chun said, glancing around. Let's finish this as quickly as possible and get out of here. Bongo next to him immediately replied, agreed. Kangjun at the back wondered to himself, so all I have to do now is follow the route. At the same time, Dronzer turned blushing and whispered, Sir, this place feels strangely pleasant. He remarked in a low voice with a delighted expression. It's as if my tired mind and body are being healed. He also smiled and remarked, not bad. Suddenly a question appeared in Kangjun's mind. Isn't this supposed to be an area where undead-type monsters appear? He frowned slightly, thinking to himself. It's quite similar to the Deadlands, which are classified as a forbidden zone on the Anu continent. Then Kangjun's lips curled into a slight smile. It's been a long time since I've felt this refreshed. Suddenly, Byung-chun raised his hand. Hold on. Everybody stop. Next, he signaled that it was time to move. Bongo at his side quickly held out his hand. Understood. They cautiously advanced. The scene inside was incredibly gloomy. Power radiated ceaselessly from his palm. Those armored skeletons were, slowly moving. And then Bongo unleashed a powerful attack. One of them had the misfortune of being the first to experience its destructive force. When the others saw their comrade get hit, they immediately turned their heads in unison to look. Kangjun, seeing this, was a little surprised. Magic. Bongo didn't stop continuing to target a few more of them. Kangjun stood by with his arms crossed, thinking to himself, how interesting. Kangjun watched Bongo fight the grunts and thought to himself, he's weak, but at least he has some proper form. He saw that the horde of skeletons had been annihilated without a single one remaining. That was the last of them. Wiping his sweat, he spoke up. Let's collect the magic stones first, then we'll move on. The others heard him. They also quickly collected the dropped items. An annoyed voice echoed through the forest. Damn it, there are more. How many is that now? Kangjun attacked from the rear, while Byung-chun defended from the front with his sturdy shield. As he blocked a blow, he shouted in anger. That's enough. You bastards. At the same time, he warned sternly Baldy, you'd better be careful this time. Hearing that, Byung-chun angrily whipped his head around, what you bastard, but he just frowned and stated, there are archers in that group. The man didn't seem to believe him. What nonsense are you spouting? But when he saw a rain of arrows flying at them, Byung-chun gritted his teeth and swore, damn it! A single sharp arrow flew past his shield. Seeing this, Byung-chun cried out in alarm. What is this? Bongo also hurriedly turned to look. The man's scream echoed as he saw the arrow was aimed right at Kangjun. Unafraid, he instantly shot out his hand and caught the arrow before it could pierce him. Then Kangjun growled, damn it. What the hell is going on? He stared at the scene wide-eyed and stammering, how? But Byung-chun beside him interrupted, don't talk nonsense. You were just lucky. Then he threw the arrow to the ground and shouted, hey, you idiots! Snap out of it, Kangjun growled with an annoyed expression. I almost died because of you guys. My god. Is it really this difficult and terrifying just to make a living? Bongo broke into a sweat looking skeptical. What, you really almost died? At the same time, he frowned slightly and thought to himself, no. More importantly, Bongo's gaze shifted to the arrow on the ground. Was it really just luck? Suddenly loud sounds from up ahead startled them all. The skeletal cavalry was charging toward them. Bongo saw this. He thought to himself, first, let's take them all down. He immediately created a magic circle, aimed forward to attack them. Byung-chun beside him also quickly brought his shield up to block. The scene before them was a seemingly unbalanced battle. At the same time, Dronzer clutched his head and spoke, sir, while Kangjun, his face dark, said in a low voice, let's go another round, shall we? This time, I'm planning to throw a rock, but I might change my mind. Hearing this, he begged helplessly. Please, not again. He laughed cheerfully. What's wrong? It's fun, isn't it? Dronzer replied in a panic, I'm the only one getting hit. Just kill me instead, please. but he calmly suggested, "Come on now. Who knows, maybe this time will be different, all right? Rock, paper, scissors." The man from the anti-hero faction touched the weapon inside his clothes, his face darkening as he thought that guy has been annoying me this whole time. His gaze now held an immense killing intent. Pretending to know everything, acting so arrogant, he wondered to himself, could he have been sent by the bureau over here? Kangjun frowned and questioned, "Hey, what are you going to play next?" Dronzer nervously suggested. "Sir, please play fair for once." Hearing this, Kangjun looked annoyed. "What? Are you calling me a coward?" Dronzer became flustered and explained, "No, that's not what I meant. I was just..." Kangjun didn't let him finish and cut in. "Forget it. I've already decided. I'm throwing rock." Dronzer quickly followed suit. "In that case, I'll throw scissors." The man from the anti-hero faction frowned and shook his head. The management bureau would never send a psycho like him. At the same time, his hand was gradually moving downwards. The man from the anti-hero faction narrowed his eyes and thought almost there. At the same time, a skeleton was shown falling face first onto the ground. Seeing this, Byung-chun thought to himself, I think that was the last one. Over here, Bongu also announced, "Looks like it's finally over." He wiped away his sweat and suggested cheerfully, "Everyone did a great job today. Shall we head home now?" Suddenly, the man from the anti-hero faction was startled and pointed ahead. "Huh?" Over there, a location shimmered in the faint mist. As the fog cleared, an ancient castle appeared before the four of them. Suddenly, a system screen appeared, startling Kangjun. The notification text read, "Hidden Dungeon. Monastery of the Demon Worshippers has been unlocked." Bongu stared at the text with a pensive look. A hidden dungeon. His thoughts surfaced. A hidden dungeon is a place to get rich. High-value items, magic books, all kinds of rare treasures, and even elixirs from another world. If I'm lucky, maybe I'll find the one and only thing I'm longing for. With a determined look in his eyes, Bongu thought to himself, the only medicine that can save my comatose mother. That medicine. He then frowned, looking down. The ones that show up at the auction house have sky-high prices. It's far beyond what I can afford, but if I can actually find one here, this is my chance. Then Bongu cautiously thought, I really want to try, but the others... Meanwhile, Byung-chun turned around. It's a hidden dungeon, so what should we do? He frowned to himself. This is the first time I've seen a hidden dungeon in person. If we report it to the Bureau, as per procedure, we'll only get a small reward and lose the rights to clear it. Suddenly he made a bold proposal. How about we clear the hidden dungeon ourselves? The other guy immediately questioned, do you think we can handle that with this team? Honestly, our actual combat power is just 2 people. Hearing this, Bongu awkwardly tried to explain. But it might be enough. After all, it's just a hidden dungeon inside a D-rank gate. Right, Byung-chun muttered a thought crossing his mind, a D-rank isn't so bad. And then he boldly declared, all right, let's go for it. If we succeed, the guy smugly thought to himself, we could earn enough to finally retire. Then Byung-chun glanced behind him. What about you two? Kang-jun calmly asked, is this overtime? Will there be extra pay? The guy quickly held up 5 fingers. 5 times the normal rate. I'll pay you 5 times what we agreed on. He didn't forget to remind them. But be careful with your decision, the risks are still the same. Meanwhile, he was mentally calculating 5 times. Our usual daily pay is 300,000 won, so... And then Kang-jun decided to join in. The guy from the anti-hero alliance hesitated. Then I'm in too? After getting their confirmation, Byung-chun spoke in a serious voice. It's settled. Let's start the raid right away. Bongu also declared boldly, all right, let's go in. The guy from the anti-hero alliance was seen trailing behind, carrying a pile of gear. A very cunning smile spread across his face. As they walked toward the castle, someone remarked, this gate has a really eerie feeling. Bongu placed his hand on the door and looked back. All right, let's head in. The door slowly creaked open. Bongu looked around and commented, it's so dark in here, let's just get inside for now. Suddenly the door slammed shut with a loud noise. Startled by this, he quickly looked back. Wait, the door closed on its own. Byung-chun was also taken aback. Don't tell me we're trapped. The torches on either side suddenly lit up. The guy panicked and rushed to the door. Damn it. Try opening the door again. On the ceiling was a mural. Byung-chun's panicked voice echoed. Damn it. It won't open. He pushed the door with all his strength while yelling, it seems the door won't open until we've cleared the dungeon. A sweating Bongu suggested, we were planning on clearing it anyway, right? Let's just move deeper inside. At that moment, Dronzer spoke up. Sir? Kang-jun replied, it's all right, let's go. Meanwhile, a thought crossed his mind. At worst, it's just a barrier seal. If we have to, we'll just smash our way out. The further they ventured in, the more bewildered they felt. What is this? There are no monsters around, not even one ant. Suddenly, Bongu gasped, huh? From behind, a horrified Byung-chun demanded, what's going on? His face paled as he uttered, oh my god, this can't be happening. Before their eyes was a battlefield covered with blood-drenched bodies lying on the ground. Drenched in a cold sweat, Bongu stammered, it looks like a battle happened here. Byung-chun cautiously guessed it seems both sides were completely annihilated. Suddenly, the guy from the anti-hero alliance shouted, look over there. The image of a hideous creature came into view. Staring at the horrifying sight, he screamed, is that a demon? Kang-jun, however, remained relatively calm, thinking to himself, what is this? I swear I've seen something similar to this before. Bongu approached the stone tablet and announced, there's something written on this. Byung-chun added, It looks like some kind of language from another world. Hearing that, he tilted his head, signaling him to try and decipher it. Dronzer at his side immediately understood the gesture. Yes, sir. He then approached the stone tablet with the ancient script. Let's see. This is the language of the demon realm. The other guy watched, slightly surprised. Old man, you can actually read that. Dronzer adjusted his glasses and spoke. To summarize the contents, he then read the first line aloud. First, overcome the trial to prove you have the minimum qualifications. Byung-chun was confused upon hearing this. A trial, he then guessed in a low voice. It probably refers to the fight with the monsters guarding this place. Since they are all dead, that means the trial has already been cleared. Dronzer continued touching the second tablet. Offer 10 living sacrifices upon the altar to prove your loyalty and faith. Hearing that, the other guy broke into a cold sweat. What the hell is this? This is crazy. But he still did not stop. Then, the venerable jailer of hell shall descend, bow your heads, and kneel to beg for forgiveness. Only those he permits may return alive. After reading, Donshu pushed up his glasses and commented, How interesting this is an altar containing demon summoning magic, and the kind that can summon a rather high-level demon. Byung-chun couldn't take it anymore and furiously yelled, You senile old man, what the hell are you talking about? Donshu paid him no mind and pointed forward, Look at those candles. Then he explained, They're called Gelmura Hellfire. They burn by absorbing life force as a conduit for dark magic flames that never go out. They're often used as a catalyst for demon summoning rituals. The guy was startled upon hearing this. What Donshu continued his analysis in a serious tone. Judging by the size of the flames, each candle requires the life force of one person, and out of 10 candles, 9 are already lit. And at the same time, Byung-chun wondered, does that mean 9 people have been sacrificed and it only needs 1 more for the demon to appear? He quickly confirmed exactly. And once the demon is summoned, we must kneel and beg if we want to get out of here alive. According to the inscription on it, that is correct. The guy with a terrified expression turned to look behind him. You guys don't really believe this crazy stuff, do you? Suddenly, the person from the Anti-Hero Alliance spoke up. Let's make a decision. With a very strange smile, he questioned, You're not going to say we should just stay here and... All die together, are you? Hearing this, Byung-chun asked. What then? The person from the Anti-Hero Alliance tremblingly covered his face with his hands. Come on, someone has to die for the rest to survive anyway. Right? Seeing this, the guy started to feel bewildered. What are you? He said nothing and just burst into a crazed laugh. Byung-chun immediately shouted, Are you crazy? How can you still laugh at a time like this? Watching this, Bongu's face also darkened with fear. The person from the Anti-Hero Alliance quickly waved his hands and explained, Sorry, it's just that seeing you all trembling so pathetically, I couldn't help but laugh. And then he narrowed his eyes, smirked, and posed a question. Now it's time to decide. Who among us is the most useless here? Bongu raised his voice in protest. No! If we try to find a way, there's surely a way for all of us to survive. Kangjun and Donshu just watched silently without saying a word. At the same time, Byung-chun broke out in a sweat and said, Damn it, that guy might be talking nonsense. But if someone really has to die, it should be the one who has lived long enough. Hearing this, he instinctively turned his head to look back. At the same time, Donshu, dripping with sweat, wondered to himself, Why are they looking at me like that? The one who has lived long enough. Surely they don't mean me, do they? No, wait a minute, I'm not even human. The next moment, he looked startlingly towards him. Then, could it be that they're talking about my master, who is over 300 years old in Earth years? Then Donshu quickly approached and whispered, Master, forgive your subordinate for his impertinence, but it seems those insolent people are targeting you, calling you the one who has lived too long. Hearing this, Kangjun calmly pointed out, It's you. His eyes widened with a bewildered expression, Huh, what? But they clearly said the one who has lived long enough. He once again narrowed his eyes, affirming, I said it's you. Kangjun then warned, You'd better keep quiet. Please shut your mouth. Suddenly, Bongu turned to reassure them. Wait, don't jump to conclusions like that. We can find a way for all of us to survive. At this, Byung-chun furiously yelled, You still want to play the saint in a situation like this? I'm not wrong. If this goes on, we're all going to die trapped in here. He slammed his hand against the wall, cursing, Damn it, you goddamn wretched dungeon. If only you hadn't lured us in here in the first place. But he still tried to calm the other person down. First, calm down. Blaming each other now won't change anything. Byung-chun didn't care and glared back over his shoulder, whatever. If you want to take the moral high ground until the very end, then you can just die in their place. Bongu, unable to believe his ears, asked. Excuse me, what did you just say? The guy just smirked. What, don't you like that idea? An excited laugh echoed through the space. The person from the Anti-Hero Alliance clutched his stomach, bursting into laughter. What an interesting sight. When pushed into a corner, everyone reveals their ugly true nature, don't they? Hearing that, the guy yelled out in annoyance. What did you just say, you bastard? He no longer hid it and calmly revealed his intentions. There's no need to argue anymore because in truth I planned to kill all of you from the very beginning. The man from the Anti-Hero Alliance narrowed his eyes and smirked cunningly. See, I planned to kill you all from the very beginning. A ball of dark energy began to form in his hand from the surrounding rotting corpses. The last of their vital energy seemed to be drained into it, and then they all rose to their feet at once. Bongu saw this and thought in horror. Don't tell me he is a necromancer. Beside him, Byung-chun jumped and shouted loudly. F rank, so you are not... The man from the Anti-Hero Alliance smugly introduced himself. You have finally realized it, have you? That is right. I am a hunter directly under the Alliance against the Management Bureau. Hearing this, he was bewildered what the man confirmed it again, and I am not F rank. I am A rank, a truly great existence. Completely different from insects like you. Hearing this, the man collapsed to the ground. The Alliance against the Management Bureau. At that moment, a thought surfaced in Byung-chun's mind, an organization that opposes the Hunter Management Bureau. An organization that believes those with special abilities must monopolize power and wealth. So that means he's a murderer who specializes in hunting the Bureau's hunters. He immediately turned and swore, damn it. At the same time, he mentally counted 20 people, or 30. Then Byung-chun looked back at the man from the Anti-Hero Alliance. And on top of all that, we have to face an A-rank murderer. And then he muttered, there's no way to win. Bongo furious shouted, what are you just standing there for? We have to fight. But he seemed to have lost all his will to fight. It is useless. We are dead for sure. Hearing that, he smirked smugly. Such a commendable attitude. Just like that, accept your fate and offer up your lives for the great cause. Suddenly a voice rang out. Hey, hold on. Kang-jun, grabbing his backpack strap, chimed in. Killing them right now would be a little inconvenient. The man from the Anti-Hero Alliance turned in surprise. Huh. Kang-jun calmly explained that they still owe me money, you know. Then he threw his bag on the ground. Besides, I already said it did. I not. For today, it is best we just continue with this act. The man immediately grew wary. Do not tell me you are from the Management Bureau. Kang-jun denied it, no. He then continued to ask. Then what organization do you belong to? He answered seriously. My house is in Silimdong. The man from the Anti-Hero Alliance heard this and said in a low voice, so you have no intention of revealing the truth. Huh. Kang-jun feigned confusion. Reveal what? The man then questioned him fine. Let me ask you again, how on earth did you get here? He answered calmly by bus, of course. I took the direct bus from Silim Station. The man was clearly losing his patience. We are not getting anywhere. Are we? Kang-jun nonchalantly replied. I'm answering all your questions, and you are still complaining. Then Kang-jun crossed his arms and asked, Hey demon, what do you hope to gain by summoning a demon? The man before him stepped forward. The one I am about to summon, he then declared smugly, is one of the 72 demon gods who rule the demon world, Grand Duke Makosias. Hearing that, he became a little curious, Makosias. The man in front of him smugly affirmed, after I swear fealty to him and form a beastman contract. Kang-jun heard this and understood. Ah, so that is what this is about. The man from the Anti-Hero Alliance was still rambling. I will borrow the immense power of Makosias, and together with the other members of the Alliance against the Management Bureau. Meanwhile, he thought to himself that name sounded familiar from the very beginning. He continued and rebuilt the world order. Another thought surfaced in Kang-jun's mind, in the demon dimension. I once invaded, I personally killed nearly all of the 72 demon gods. Then he wondered to himself, could he be one of the few who survived? The man from the Anti-Hero faction, wreathed in dark energy, smiled triumphantly. In any case, for this great cause, he declared with an ecstatic look on his face. All of you must die. The zombies began to swarm forward, crying in terror. Byung-chun clutched his head and screamed, damn it! Are we going to die? Such a pointless death like this? Bongo trembled and bowed his head, blaming himself. Everyone, I'm sorry. This is all because of my greed. At that moment, Kang-jun spoke up. Everyone has to die sometime. But not today. Hearing that, he could not help but be amazed, huh? He stepped forward and said in a low voice, if you're going to die. Kang-jun continued casually, at least pay me 2 days' wages first. Suddenly, Bongo began to sweat, gritting his teeth and squinting. Before his eyes was the sight of Kang-jun, with an immense power radiating from his entire body. Bongo started to feel dizzy. What is this? The man from the Anti-Hero faction stared, thinking to himself, is he using dark magic? He could not hide the fear in his eyes as he looked at the man before him. It is dark magic, but its power is on a whole other level. Suddenly, a beam of energy shot out, almost touching his eye. Reflected in his pupil was the cold face of Kang-jun. The only thing that echoed was a terrified scream. He stared at the figure before him in horror, the Grim Reaper. Please spare me. And then the man collapsed to the ground in fear. I have to run. I have to run now. Kang-jun's gaze was fixed on the man before him, as if looking at an insect. At the same time, he gestured to grab Zidon's. He quickly approached, yes, master. Kang-jun glanced back and ordered them to bow their heads in respect. He immediately obeyed the command. A disaster beyond all measure. That colossal dark energy grew even stronger. The man from the Anti-Hero League screamed in terror at the sight. Dronzer's voice echoed ceaselessly. The ruler of life and death. That authoritative voice was like an undeniable command. Undead legions kneel before the Emperor of the Dead. Hearing this, the zombies all bowed their heads in unison. Not a single one dared to disobey this command. All of them could be seen bowing in unison before Kang-jun. The scene was so shocking, it sent waves through Bongo's heart. What is this? Meanwhile, the sound of I'm sorry still echoed. The member of the Anti-Hero League prostrate on the ground, begged desperately, please spare me. Kang-jun finally spoke up. To be honest, I'm just so tired of it all. I just want to live a normal life, not in the spotlight. At this, Kangjun sat down facing him. He lifted the man's face and slowly enunciated each word. To live quietly without anyone noticing. Kangjun's eyes suddenly turned fiery red, and the League member's eyes quickly showed a similar resonance. Dronzer instantly realized the demonic eye. The master has cast the demonic eye. He watched the man who was writhing and clutching his head silently continuing his analysis. A high-level illusion technique. It makes anyone who meets his gaze see horrifying illusions. They say the greater the power difference, the more gruesome the hell that appears. Sure enough, the very next second, countless demons poured out from his body. Bongu watched this and secretly gulped. What the hell is going on? The League member was still clutching his stomach, writhing in agony. He tiptoed forward to get a better look at Kangjun. Who is that man? Sensing Bongu's stare, he suddenly turned to question him. You've endured this much and still haven't collapsed. Kangjun shot him a deathly glare and asked, You don't want to end up like him, do you? Startled, he instinctively took a few steps back. Kangjun immediately gave him an ultimatum. Then, keep your mouth shut. Just then, Don Shoy bowed his head and interjected, Master, forgive your subordinate's rudeness. He decisively offered his advice regardless of the situation. But wouldn't it be better to just kill him to silence him? Kango nonchalantly refused and explained, No need, I've already placed a binding seal on him. Understanding Don Zoe moved to the main point. So can we summon the demon now and find a way out of here? He nodded instantly. Right, if negotiation fails, we'll just kill that demon and find the exit ourselves. Saying this, Kangjun beckoned with his hand. The skeleton soldiers quickly stepped forward to deal with the collapsed League member. They placed him on the stone altar as the call echoed summon. One of the skeleton soldiers unflinchingly swung the blade in its hand high. The splattering blood startled Bongu into clamping his mouth shut. The flickering candles suddenly blazed brightly their flames, then slowly turning a deep blue. The surrounding space suddenly shook as if there was an earthquake. The once rigid demon statue seemed to have a soul poured into it. Kangjun watched it carefully and remarked, What a grand entrance. A gloomy voice began to drift through the air. For hundreds of years, I have not forgotten the humiliation of that day for even a single moment. The day I watched helplessly as my brethren were slaughtered, while I was the lucky one who survived. Forced to wander across dimensions after losing all my power in the battle against him, I became a weak exile, wandering through countless dimensions. I had to endure and survive, with the sole belief that one day I would get my revenge on him. The voice was like a net trapping Kangjun and the others. Now that I have recovered some of my power, I answer this summons and set foot in this unfamiliar world. Who is it who dares to make a pact with one of the 72 demon kings, the keeper of Hell's Gate, Makdam, one of the supreme powers of the demon world? Having just manifested, Ita made a very generous offer. You have brought me to a perfect place to gather my strength and plan my revenge. Therefore, I shall gladly accept this contract. Before he could finish his speech, Kangjun cut him off. Now, I remember. Doubt suddenly stirred in Ita's mind. That voice sounds very familiar. He looked straight into the other's eyes and asked sharply, You were the first one to flee that day, weren't you? Confused, Ita uttered a name. The Immortal. Kangjun casually waved as if meeting a close friend. It's true what they say, live long enough and you'll see all kinds of miracles. I never thought I'd run into you here. With every word he spoke, sweat poured down the demon's face. It's been a long time, hasn't it? I was almost glad to see you again. Ita tried to suppress his fear to gather information. Why are you in this trivial and tattered dimension? Kangjun calmly confessed, Oh, because this is my home. Outwardly, Ita tried to maintain his composure. On second thought, this is indeed a wonderful dimension. But inwardly, he was panicking. Damn it, I'm done for. Last time I at least had a chance to run. Ita couldn't help but recall his own traumatic past. That day, on that brutal battlefield, they had sworn that even if all 72 demon kings joined forces, the result would still be just as disastrous. In this state, I can't fight the Immortal alone and win. My mind is racing. I have to get out of here while he's busy, elsewhere. There's no other way but to find my lost brothers and plan our revenge for another day. It can't end like this. At this thought, Ita suddenly dropped to his knees and began a very tragic performance. Oh, great king of death, Kangjun calmly advised you don't need to be so formal. But he persisted with his lines to prove his point. Please spare my life. I was only forced here by a summoning spell. I had absolutely no intention of invading the great immortal's homeland. He indifferently asked back, really? He hurriedly promised, absolutely. If you just spare me this one time, I will never appear before you again. I will hide in a distant dimension and live out the rest of my days in isolation. Kangjun unconsciously nodded and mumbled, I understand, but this attitude still made Ita tremble with fear. Excuse me, what did you say? Kangjun waved his hand, shooing him away like a fly. I said you can go because he was getting anxious, thinking his little sister must be waiting. I'll just send him off and go home. Having been pardoned, Ita kowtowed once more for good measure. I am eternally grateful, my lord. But just then, Kangjun suddenly paused. That reminds me the 365 Days of Child Rearing Encyclopedia says, pets are very beneficial for a child's emotional development. Children who grow up with pets have higher intelligence quotients and superior empathy compared to those who don't. Unaware that he was the target, Ita was unsteadily getting to his feet. Farewell, Supreme Immortal. This humble servant will take his leave. Before he could finish, Kangjun called after him. Hey, wait. Full of question marks, he confusedly replied yes. With a cold and indifferent face, Kangjun ordered bark. Dumbfounded, Ita asked for confirmation. Excuse me? Kangjun impatiently repeated, I said bark. Inwardly, Ita wanted to curse him out. Immortal, how dare you humiliate me like this? The entire space around them seemed to freeze in that moment. He flew into a rage, throwing his head back and screaming to the heavens immortal, you dare humiliate me to this extent. Not only did Kangjun not care, he even urged him on try harder. Ita wailed and shouted, I will never forget today's humiliation for all eternity. But then Kangjun suddenly changed his tone. You did pretty well. Done with his screaming, Ita immediately broke into a sweat and deflated into a subservient posture. I am truly honored. Kangjun rolled his eyes and affirmed, no, I'm serious. Just now you really acted just like a dog, didn't you? Dronzer, beside them, cheerfully chimed in. That's right. It's amazing how perfectly you embodied the role of a dog. Upon hearing those words, his heart turned to ash for a moment. To think that I, one of the 72 demons who once ruled and observed all, have been reduced to this, to think I'd fall into such a pathetic situation. Before he was done grieving, Kangjun spoke up and asked, you also know how to shapeshift, right? Confused, he tried to understand the situation. Huh. Into what? Kangjun tilted his head, both questioning and threatening. I wonder what kind of puppy a 3-year-old girl would like. Ita couldn't take it anymore and immediately displayed his power. I am the great demon among demons. The next words he wanted to say got stuck in his throat. Famed for tyrannical power, the ultimate depravity, known by the infamous title Ita. The gatekeeper of hell, I who once ruled the demon world with my 72 brothers. Have I become this? At that thought, Ita transformed into a Shiba Inu. He cheerfully asked, how about this form? After inspecting his new appearance, Kangjun became thoughtful. It's definitely cute, but I feel like something's not quite right. Dronzer once again offered an idea your servant dares to suggest. Is this sufficient to be a pet? He immediately began a serious analysis of the issue. Its legs are a bit short. I'm afraid its mobility might be limited. It looks rather weak, doesn't it? Dronzer understood and added an idea. If its nature remains the same, perhaps we should prioritize Her Highness's preferences. The more Ita listened, the more his inner self wanted to revert to his beast form. You insolent fools, how dare you judge me like this? I will not forget this humiliation. One day I will have my revenge. But when Kangjun aggressively made a new demand. All right, now try another form. He showed no backbone and obediently replied, yes. And so for as many dog breeds as there are in the world, Ita transformed into almost every single one. Yet, he still couldn't satisfy Kangjun. Another form. If Ita's doggy eyes could turn into blades, Kangjun would have died 1 billion times. Kangjun tilted his head and asked, hey, is there a problem? He felt a chill emanating from him and immediately reverted to his subservient posture. Huh, who me? Do you think I would dare? Kangjun just indifferently said yes. For a rare moment of courage, Ita sulked, as if to say, when would I ever do that? Kangjun lost all patience and hissed another form. Indeed, great pressure creates diamonds. This transformation seemed to satisfy the viewer. Kangjun crouched down and praised him profusely. This form is definitely the cutest. Only Ita was frantically cursing to himself, how insolent I, who once held great power in this world, am now being petted like a little puppy. But her toughness lasted only a few seconds before she was quickly tamed and was possibly even enjoying it. What are you doing to me? This stroking feels strangely pleasant. I feel like I want to wag my tail. Kangjun turned to consult his companion. What do you think? Don quickly sucked up, saying, I believe this form is a perfect compromise for both of you, Your Highness. The princess will surely love it. He did not forget to ask the person who had been invisible in the corner. What do you think? Bongu's hair stood on end as he mechanically spouted flattery. I think it's truly wonderful. Then Kangjun declared with satisfaction, good, it is time for us to go back. Meanwhile, Ita, lying on her back in his arms, was a mess of inner turmoil. So humiliating. You're enjoying this, are you not? Watching their retreating backs, Bongu tentatively called out, Professor. Kangjun looked back doubtfully. Me? While saying yes and rummaging through his bag, Bongu reached out and suggested, would it not be better to take the body before we leave? To ensure the incident is handled smoothly, he asked. Back in a tone of disbelief, handle it, Bongu? Honestly explained, the administrative agency will intervene according to the rules of this world. This is a major case involving the anti-government alliance, is it not? The Bureau will probably investigate this thoroughly. Kangjun quickly analyzed the pros and cons in his head. I really hate getting involved in troublesome matters, and I certainly do not want to become the center of attention or be unreasonably scrutinized. That is right, and besides, I am not a hunter. Thinking this, he immediately changed his tone. Hey, you were quite impressive earlier. You saved my life. This sudden change in attitude stunned Bongu, who blurted out, excuse me. Kangjun placed a hand on his shoulder and began his manipulation to single-handedly confront and subdue such a vicious and cruel criminal. And then to take him down with a single blow. Bongu, still in a daze, vaguely tried to confirm. What did I do? He ignored his reaction, looked deep into his eyes, and emphasized, you did a great job. Sure enough, a second later, Bongu was completely brainwashed. It was nothing, I just did what I had to do. Satisfied, Kang Jun added another compliment. You are smart. I like that. After 2 hours, let us go. The entire group immediately disappeared through a teleportation gate. A corner of the building emitted a brilliant light, but no one paid it any mind. The paramedics just hurriedly placed the victim onto a stretcher and moved away quickly. The gate officer looked at the report and muttered in a low voice, "My God, what was that shocking incident just now?" Luckily, everyone survived without serious injury. He glanced over at the only casualty and remarked with excitement, "We just received the identity confirmation of the body, and it turns out he was a wanted murderer." He's part of the anti-government alliance. The Special Gate investigation team will form a task force to continue the investigation. I will also require you to provide an additional statement later if necessary. Bongu froze and immediately shouted, "Yes, sir." But before he could leave, the man added another thing. "And when the investigation concludes, this case will be released to the media." His face paled as he exclaimed, "Released to the media." Bongu's mind was suddenly in turmoil. If Mr. Kangjun hadn't been here, we would probably be the cold corpses lying there right now. Before he could finish his thought, the gate officer pulled him back to the present. "But Mr. Kim Bongu, have you experienced a second awakening recently?" He looked at the analysis chart objectively. "The report says you single-handedly took down a hunter from the anti-government alliance." Upon hearing this, he became flustered, scratching his face and deflecting. "I guess I was just lucky." The gate officer reminded him in a low voice, "Sometimes excessive modesty can be detrimental." "Speaking of that guy, there's a bounty on his head too." Hearing this, Bongu immediately shot up. "Wait, a bounty?" He lowered his voice and whispered into his ear, "That's right. That bastard's head alone is worth hundreds of millions. The government will likely issue you a reward. The major guilds will probably be contacting you soon too. When this hits the papers, you'll be famous overnight." Bongu, still reeling, asked again, "Me?" The gate officer, more excited than the man himself, had already come up with a headline: C-rank rookie national hero, Kim Bongu, single-handedly taking down an A-rank murderer from the anti-government alliance. Can't you just see the headlines now? But this just made Bongu's mood sink. This is all getting way too big. His eyes filled with worry. But thinking about it, Bongu had to admit to himself, he really did save our lives. Meanwhile, Kangjun was busy coaxing his right-hand man, these spicy rice cakes are seriously hot. "Don't force yourself to eat it if you can't handle it." Dronzer stubbornly retorted, "I can't feel my tongue anymore." Bongu watched them, his mind filled with questions. Who in the world is that guy? He took down an A-rank murderer without even lifting a finger. Dronzer, ignoring all reason, continued to shovel rice cakes into his mouth. "I don't know why my hand just won't stop. I'm sure this stuff must have been created by the devil. Otherwise, how can something be so painful, yet so addictive?" Kangjun lowered his head and asked the puppy in his arms, "Did you two really make this?" Ita vigorously shook its head in denial, as if we could make this. This scene, however, made Bongu think of a different scenario. That monster was clearly begging for its life in desperation. How could a person like that be disguised as a simple porter? Could he be a criminal on the run from the government? No, if that were the case, he would have killed me. Meanwhile, Kangjun was still enthusiastically suggesting, "Hey, let's try the spicy chicken noodles next time. They're even hotter, 10 times more delicious than these rice cakes." Dronzer chimed in at the speed of light. "I'm already looking forward to it. I can't believe a food this devilish exists." Meanwhile, Bongu quickly came to a conclusion. "He's at least an S rank, though I have no idea what his true identity is." He clenched his fist silently, making a resolution. "I have to find a way to become that man's disciple. I need to become much stronger than I am now to obtain the elixir." From the street corner, Kangjun's voice suddenly complained, "Hey, didn't you put this in the wrong spot?" he asked while fanning out the cash. "This is more than you promised." Bongu scratched his head, making an excuse. "Well, it's because you saved my life." Kangjun, being the trusting type, pocketed all the cash. "All right then, I'll put this to good use. Hope to see you again if we get the chance. Let's go." Just as Dronzer yelled, "Yes, sir," Bongu cautiously made a suggestion. "Sir, excuse me, could you stay for just a little while? I would like to treat you to a meal, even if it's just one." And yet he walked away with a nonchalant air. "Next time my family's waiting." Bongu watched him leave, his heart racing with urgency. "No, I have to seize this opportunity," Bongu yelled with all his might. "Please, could you just have one glass of soju with me? 1 hour would be fine. No, even just half an hour would be okay." Kangjun latched onto the keyword as soon as he said it. "Soju." He seriously confirmed one more time. "Is it the soju that I know?" Although frightened by this attitude, Bongu firmly affirmed that's right. Kangjun immediately looked up and exclaimed, "Very well then. Earth has soju." His mind unconsciously drifted away. Back when I was ruling the Anu Empire, I tasted all the most famous liquors in the world, but none could ever compare to the unique flavor of soju. I tried to recreate it countless times, but it was all in vain. Thinking of this, he eagerly urged, "All right then, let's have a glass of soju." The group quickly headed to a nearby pub. The crisp sound of glasses clinking was the signal for a night of heavy drinking. As soon as the alcohol went down his throat, Kangjun excitedly shouted, "This is it!" He took another sip of soup and his insides exploded. "This is the flavor I was talking about. Oh, it burns like being dipped in lava." But for a demon like me, how long has it been since I've tasted blood? Meanwhile, Dronzer next to him seemed to have lost the ability to speak. "Oh, it's hot. Oh, it's hot. So delicious. What a devilish flavor, so good." Bongu's inner thoughts filled with doubt. What's wrong with them? They look like people trying hangover soup, and soju for the first time in 15 years, but outwardly he politely suggested, should I order more? The silence from the other side made him a bit awkward. They must have their own stories. Bongo decided to do as he pleased and waved his hand. Ma'am, can I get one more bottle of soju and another bowl of soup, please? The owner replied warmly, just a moment. Dronzer took the chance to look up and call after the old woman. He suddenly recited a line that stunned the owner. I am very grateful for your sacrifice, but your health is more important. Please take care of yourself and work a little slower. She blushed beet red and flustered warned him. Do you know me? If you're trying to pull something, just stop and finish your food. Not only was Dronzer not embarrassed, but he added, don't worry. This precious dish was created from your noble sacrifice. I will never take it lightly or waste even a single drop. This script left the owner a bit speechless. What is he talking about? His mind was still immersed in its own thoughts. Just think, she remains so calm. When creating such a wonderful dish by sacrificing her own blood, that woman is truly a living saint. But that expression made Bongo picture a different scene. Is he crying? He must have lived a very harsh life. Just then Kangjun spoke up, pulling him back to reality. Bongshik, why aren't you eating? He was startled and corrected him. I am eating just slowly. And I'm sorry, sir. But my name is Bongo. Kangjun's face fell as he reminded him what's with the sir. Just call me bro. It's more friendly. He was overwhelmed by the unexpected favor, but still obediently complied. Yes, bro. Waiting for the right moment, Bongo boldly proposed, bro, can you take me as your disciple? Without a second thought, Kangjun flatly refused. A disciple now. He sighed, filled with overwhelming disappointment. Just as I thought. Bongo downed his glass to muster the courage and began to pour his heart out. Bro, actually, I used to be an F-rank hunter. In his mind, Kangjun screamed in protest. I can't stand these sob stories. Oh, well, I'll just listen to him as payment for the meal. But he still replied politely, is that so? That opened the floodgates for Bongo. Even so, I couldn't give up being a hunter. Because of my sister's tuition, our living expenses, and my mother's hospital bills, no other job pays better. To cure my mother, I need an elixir, a medicine, said to cure any illness. Kangjun asked curiously, an elixir. He unconsciously searched his memories. If it's that stuff, I probably still have dozens of bottles in the royal treasury of the Anu Empire. Meanwhile, Bongo was still lost in his own story. I know it sounds like a fantasy. Elixirs are truly priceless. They're so rare they are traded for tens or even hundreds of billions. I could never afford one with money. Kangjun was filled with regret by that astronomical number. I should have brought a bottle with me. I'm always carrying around useless junk. I should have packed one of those instead. Bongo asked, stunned. I didn't quite hear you. He quickly waved his hand in denial. It's nothing. And then what? He continued to explain his situation. Anyway, I have no other choice but to obtain it myself, so I was left with no options. But to continue challenging the gates. Hearing this, Kangjun shot him a disdainful look. With that weak body of yours, Bongo admitted shyly, that's right. Because of that, I've had several near-death experiences. And I was also bedridden for months because the injuries just kept lingering like that. Eventually, I made it to C rank. Kangjun casually went along with his story as the guy sadly mumbled a few sentimental words. Is that so? Actually, everyone was happy until those things called gates suddenly appeared. So, before I die, I have to reclaim the happiness of that time. Bongo's next words seemed to mix with his tears. I have to keep fighting. In the end, he couldn't hold it in anymore and covered his face to cry. Sob, those sobs made Kangjun a bit unsure of what to do. But Bongo turned off the waterworks in an instant to continue his bold declaration. Sir, I really have to get stronger as fast as possible because maybe, just maybe, my mother, she might not have much time left. He stood up, bowed 90 degrees, and continued to beg. Sir, if you take me as your disciple, I'll do anything you say. Please, just give me one chance. Kangjun sighed in frustration. Bonghwan, a grown man, crying in a public place like this. He blushed and tried to defend himself. I'm sorry, and my name is Bongo. Kangjun didn't care that he got the name wrong and instead criticized him. Geez, first of all, stop crying, straighten your shoulders, and have some confidence in yourself. Bongo immediately straightened his back and promised, yes, well, you can just call me Bonghwan. Kangjun's heart softened a little, but he still had to ask again. But Bongtai, are you sure you can do anything I say? Bongo was startled, but pledged, yes, of course. I'll do everything. This time it's Bongtai. Bongtai is fine too. He thought of the chaos at his home and kindly warned, it won't be easy, you know. Cleaning laundry, cooking, babysitting, walking the dog. Do you think you can handle all of that? Although he was inwardly confused, the things he said sounded a bit strange. But the words that came out of Bongo's mouth were a firm commitment. Yes, I can do it all. Satisfied, Kangjun poured a drink for his newly acquired lackey. All right then. Then my sister's life will be a little less difficult. My sister works so hard every day. Also, can you lend me your identity? Bongo asked in bewilderment. What my identity, Kangjun calmly emphasized. You know what I'm talking about? Your hunter's license. As he said this, he added another reason in his mind. That way, I can save on the registration card fee. Kangjun had already planned this out. After I register for a gate raid under his name, I just need to go along as a porter and then take care of the monsters myself. This way, I won't have to worry about money anymore. Even if I clear a high-rank gate, I can avoid fame and trouble. Anyway, Bongpa can get famous in my place, right? Satisfied, Kangjun asked one more time, "So, can you do it?" A girl with an amused expression commented, "Wow, so cute." The person next to her also grinned, "Hey, little guy, where's your owner?" The arrogant puppy turned its head away sharply. "You impertinent fools! How dare you treat me like a common dog when you don't even know who I am?" Meanwhile, the two girls were still talking to each other. "I really want to pet it." But aren't Dobermans usually really aggressive? The short-haired girl reached out her hand and suggested, "No, it looks pretty gentle. Hey, can I just pet you a little?" It maintained its initial haughty attitude. How ridiculous. Get lost. But the girl couldn't hear those words and casually reached out to touch its fur. "It's so soft and smooth, really. Look how happy it is being petted." Although the dog was wagging its tail with delight, it thought to itself, "How humiliating." Then the short-haired girl happily placed a bone on the ground. "I bought this snack for my dog, but I'll share a piece with you." Next she left, but didn't forget to wave goodbye. "See you later." It was seen gnawing on the big bone while thinking to itself, "This is cheap food, but since I am a bit hungry and these humans have offered it as a tribute, I should taste it once as a favor." Suddenly an image of a delicious feast appeared in the dog's mind, and it began to frantically gnaw on the bone. Marvelous displeasure is born from destruction and depravity. At that moment, Kangjun approached and questioned him. "Hey, what are you doing?" Seeing the person in front of it, the dog immediately dropped the bone and broke into a cold sweat. But Kangjun didn't seem to mind much. "Never mind, just carry on." Next, Kangjun glanced over and clicked his tongue. "That idiot. He drank just a little and is already wasted. He's completely passed out." Carrying Bongu on his back, Dronzer said with a displeased look, "Master, this guy is useless now." "Should we kill him?" he asked, looking back. The old man narrowed his eyes and said, "Don't take him home. Lady Subin definitely won't like this," but he spoke up calmly. "But we can't just leave him lying in the middle of the road." Right, seeing Bongu drenched in sweat, Kangjun suggested, "It looks like he's having a terrible nightmare. Perhaps we should grant him eternal sleep." Dronzer raised an eyebrow and sighed. "Stop it, don't say that anymore." Then he gently placed his hand on his temple. "He really is a nuisance." The old man beside him hesitated. If it's just to show him his happiest memories. He then looked up. Isn't this the dream control spell? At the same time, he thought to himself, the dark magic of Sakura Boost allows them to do as they please. The Sakura Boost clan said they only taught me the basics. Just as expected of him. While Kangjun explained, "I'm just making a few adjustments." "If real life is chaotic," he said softly, "at least he should have a beautiful dream." A stone was thrown across the water's surface and Bongu suddenly froze. "Huh? Am I a child?" A voice sounded from beside him. "That's right, just like that." A man with an obscured face smiled in praise. "With just a little more practice, you'll soon surpass your father." Hearing this, he looked up at his dad. Bongu's father chuckled softly. "My Bongu has really grown up." A thought appeared in Bongu's mind. "But Dad, you're already..." Then his father patted his little boy's head. "Bongu, if I'm gone, you will be the one to support the family." Hearing this, he wondered to himself, Why can't you stay with me?" "Dad," as his father gently advised, "when that time comes, Bongu, you must bravely protect your mother and sister." Bongu's father said, "I believe in you," while he stood from a distance with tears welling up. "Dad, I don't think I can do it. I'm sorry, it's too hard." His younger self cried out, "Don't go as young." Bongu gripped his father's shirt tightly. "I won't complain about leaving the sauna early anymore. I won't say fishing is boring, and I won't ask for piggyback rides when we go hiking." And at that moment, a voice called out from behind, "Dinner's ready, come and eat, everyone." Hearing this, Bongu immediately turned to see the image of his incredibly happy family before him. Bongu's mother was bringing out the food. "This looks delicious." Juhi looked up cheerfully. "Dad, Mom, what about me?" Meanwhile, Bongu's father was sipping a can of beer. "Honey, would you like some?" Then with a look of pure enjoyment, he said, "This is great. We should do this more often." His wife looked at him and agreed. "That's right." The kids looked so happy too. "Bongu, what are you doing? Come over and join us." Bongu looked at the scene before him, deeply moved. "Mom." "Dad." The fire crackled as his mother's voice called out, "Bongu." "What's wrong? This is the curry you love the most. Does it not taste good?" With his face covered in tears, Bongu replied, "No, it's so delicious." Then he said, "Mom, Dad, Juhi." Bongu smiled faintly. "Don't worry about anything anymore. Please believe in me," he said, looking up with a gentle smile. "I'm the pillar of this family now. Right, I can do it." And so Bongu declared, "We will be happy again." The scene then shifted to him sitting alone before a fire when a voice suddenly called out, "Bongu, wake up. I made you some dried fish soup." Hearing that, Bongu sat up with a start. It was Donsei's voice. "Master, should we just kill him now? Let him sleep forever, just like you wanted." Kangjun heard this and questioned, "Why are you always so eager to kill someone?" "Wait, when he wakes up, we'll all eat together." At that moment, Bongu lowered his head and smiled. I am Bongu." He turned and walked away without looking back. The ceiling light was blinding to Bongu's eyes. "My head." And at that moment, a scene appeared of Kangjun with a gentle smile. "My princess, did you enjoy your meal?" Little Seoa sat obediently on his lap. "Yes, I did." Kangjun continued to smile. "Was it delicious, princess?" Seoa replied softly. Yes, it was very delicious. He broke into a sweat looking at the unbelievable sight. What is this? Am I still dreaming? Where am I? He thought to himself, is this Mr. Kangjun's house? So, while you're playing with the baby, our little princess, she's so adorable. She happily reaches for her dad and you gently touch her cheek. Our princess is cute because she's just like her dad. Suddenly, Kangjun shot a cold, sharp glare at Bonggu. You're awake. Then he coldly demanded, hey, you saw that, didn't you? He stammered fearfully. Yes. Kangjun pressed on. What did you see? From Bonggu trembled and answered honestly from when the princess appeared. Kangjun growled until what part Bonggu added until the part about her being cute because she's like her dad. Upon hearing that, his eyes widened as a murderous aura began to radiate from him. Looks like I'll have to kill him to shut him up. What a shame. At the same time, he thought to himself, he's just embarrassed, that's all. Then Bonggu tremblingly thought to himself, no matter how embarrassed he is killing me, to shut me up is too much. But honestly, with that look on his face, he might actually do it. Suddenly a voice called out, goodness, you reek of alcohol. Subin peeked in from the doorway. The sun is already up and you're just waking up now. Seeing her, Bonggu felt like he'd been thrown a lifeline. I'm alive. With a gentle smile, she said, you must be exhausted. I made some dried pollock soup, come and eat first. Hearing this, he replied, thank you so much, while simultaneously thinking, thank you for saving me from the jaws of death. Before him was a delicious spread of food. Subin then spoke up looking puzzled. Your name is Bong Trang, right? Bonggu shyly corrected her. No, I'm Bonggu. She was taken aback by that. Oh, my apologies. Bonggu raised a hand to cover his mouth. It's okay. Then he picked up his spoon and dug in. This is my chance to get rid of my drunken image, he thought while excitedly commenting sister-in-law. This is delicious. No wonder you look forward to every meal, right? Hyun Kangjun immediately scowled. Hey, she's my older sister. The words hit Bonggu like a bolt of lightning. What Kangjun emphasized, again, my biological older sister. Then he urged, just eat. He meekly obeyed yes, Hyung, while thinking to himself, damn it, I should have just kept quiet. Suddenly Subin said, Bonggu Kangjun told me you two are very close, like real brothers. Hearing that, Bonggu hesitated. Huh? Yes. At the same time, Bonggu wondered to himself. He said that. Then she said, I'm sorry for asking so suddenly, but could you please look after Kangjun for a while? He couldn't believe what he was hearing. Huh. Me look after him. At the same time, Bonggu thought in disbelief, the man who faced down a high-ranking officer from the A-rank Hunters Guild and treats a high-level demon like a pet dog. His gaze shifted back to Kangjun. She wants me to babysit that monster. What in the world? He saw Subin looking over with a worried expression. Actually, Kangjun was trapped in a gate and has been back home for less than a month. Bonggu suddenly remembered something. Wait a minute. Is he one of the survivors from the gate that was on the news? They said some top-tier hunters from abroad gained mysterious powers from beyond that gate. Don't tell me he's one of them. Meanwhile, he glanced over while chewing. Good grief, I already told you. We weren't trapped in the gate. She also spoke up hesitantly. That's right. I heard you were the king of some continent, right? The expression on Bonggu's face turned to one of confusion. A king? Kangjun frowned slightly and corrected her, no. I wasn't just a king, I was the emperor. Subin nonchalantly commented from the side, oh, come on, it's the same thing. Kangjun immediately shot back, it's completely different. Kings wouldn't even dare to look me in the eye. Bonggu was still in shock. An emperor? At that moment, Dronzer turned with a smirk. Your Majesty, perhaps you remember the former king of the Baratheon kingdom. He asked, confused, who? At that, he thought to himself, so that old man Dronzer isn't a normal person either. The old man just narrowed his eyes. I'm talking about the one who dared to look Your Majesty straight in the face. And he even started an uprising only to be beheaded. Hearing this, Kangjun suddenly realized it was about him as Bonggu let out a sigh. Subin spoke with a worried expression. See, you could say he's going through those kinds of consequences to adapt to society, perhaps. Suddenly, Bonggu's voice deepened. I get it now, no wonder. Then he excitedly wondered, so brother is really that strong and imposing. So if he's an emperor, then Mr. Donshui is basically the prime minister. She broke out in a sweat looking at him. Donshui's voice rang out, I am a bookseller. Then Subin whispered, you're just trying to play along with the atmosphere, right? Anyway, could I ask you to help Kangjun adjust to society? With a face full of determination, Bonggu affirmed, yes, I will do my absolute best with all my abilities. Hearing this, she sighed in relief. Thank you so much. Then Subin turned to look at the person opposite her. But senior, would you like to try working a part-time job? Hearing this, Donshui smiled. Lady Subin, please forgive me for asking, but what is a part-time job? She cheerfully explained that the owner of the convenience store in front of our house is hiring part-timers. So I mentioned you, and he said to come for an interview, but he just gently refused. Lady Subin, my apologies, but I have a duty to assist His Majesty. I cannot leave his side for even a moment. Suddenly, Kangjun cut in no. Then he frowned and insisted, just go work the part-time job. At the same time, he wore a disgruntled expression, thinking to himself, I'm tired of having him follow me around all the time. Then let him learn about Earth's culture by working part-time at the convenience store. That way, he can also contribute a little to the store, right? Hearing this, a fearful. Donshui stammered, Your Majesty. But Kangjun nonchalantly spoke up. Didn't you promise last time that you would establish an empire on Earth? He nodded slightly. Yes, of course. Kangjun continued to press to do that. You need to immerse yourself in the culture and daily lives of the people of this dimension, correct? Then Kang Jun said sternly, I am not telling you to abandon your responsibilities as a strategist, just to stay in the store in front of the house. I'm entrusting you with all matters related to the founding and require a responsible investigation. His face showed clear astonishment. Suddenly, Don Xue shot to his feet. Your Majesty is testing my loyalty. Then, while banging his head on the floor, he shouted loudly, Your Majesty, please take my life. Seeing this, Kang Jun sighed. Oh, great, he's at it again. But he continued to shout, Please, heed my words. Kang Jun frowned, trying to placate him. Hey, calm down. Don Xue continued to wail frantically because I have once again failed to understand your Majesty's profound intentions. I am truly unworthy to look upon your visage. He just coldly nodded. He didn't stop until this worthless body is crushed and my bones turn to ash. I will do my absolute best in this investigation. At the same time, Kang Jun glanced to the side. Did you hear that? He's going to the interview. Hearing this, Subin's sweat dropped and forced a smile. Old man Satya Vonze Crassly, Don Xue decides to take on a side job challenge in Chapter 2. Then Kang Jun's voice was heard calling Bonggu. Even though you're a guest, do the dishes, okay? Then he offered saying he'd do them himself. Nuna, just go and rest. Subin still seemed a little worried, are you sure? But he's surprisingly good at washing the dishes. At the same time, a voice came from the television, so the more densely populated an area is, the higher the probability of a gate appearing. Hearing this, Kang Jun looked at the two people on screen who were talking. You mean the frequency of gate appearances is high in Seoul and the Gyeonggi region? The man spoke up. Yes, it's best for people in the affected areas to remain vigilant, especially since new gates tend to pull in all living creatures within a 1 or 2 kilometer radius the moment they appear. So you must always be prepared. He continued, the Academic Society predicts a high probability for the area south of the Han River in Seoul, and countermeasures must be prepared. After listening, Subin looked worried. Oh my, our house is in Gangnam too? What if a gate appears? While scratching his stomach, Kang Jun reassured her. Don't worry, nothing's going to happen. At the same time, CEO La excitedly cried out, Puppy. Then the little girl pulled the dog close to her face. Puppy, give me a kiss. His face suddenly darkened. Young lady, you shouldn't do that. Next, Kang Jun started scolding the dog, saying it was dirty and messy and that the young lady would get hurt if she kissed it. At the same time, he clenched his fists and thought, I did not expect it to be this dangerous. So should I eliminate it right now? I just see Tiola and I find myself repeating the words from before. So do I have to eliminate it right now? Hearing that, the dog broke into a sweat. I did not say I would do it. Why me? Don't kiss. Don't kiss. Suddenly, Subin hit Kang Jun hard on the shoulder. Don't hurt the animal in front of your daughter. After getting hit, he raised an eyebrow and thought to himself, do I have to treat her like an animal too? The child will think that, so I guess I should. Meanwhile, the little girl happily suggested, Puppy, I will just pat you gently. The dog, sweating profusely, looked up at him. Seeing this, he could not help but blush. The little girl was so cute. Kiola's innocent and pure face was adorable. After that, the little girl spread her 2 arms wide, while Kang Jun thought to himself, watching this makes my heart ache a little. He also reached out and picked Tiola up. I cannot let this happen. This dangerous world is not suitable for a child like her. With a gentle smile, Kang Jun looked affectionately at the little angel in front of him. I do not intend to be a hero, but I just want to change things a little. The next day, Kang Jun took out an envelope and said, Nuna, use this to get by. Subin took it with a worried expression. Kang Jun, how much is this? He calmly replied, 5 million won. Subin was surprised and asked, how did you suddenly get such a large amount of money? Then Kang Jun raised an eyebrow and replied, I just checked my account to be sure, and it was already there. It seems to be the money I saved up regularly before I went missing. She raised a hand to wipe away her tears as a smile broke through. Kang Jun, actually, I did not tell you because I was afraid you would worry, but I have been having financial difficulties lately. Next, Subin said cheerfully, thank you. Thanks to you. I can breathe a little easier now, as he looked at her. Really, I did not know, but that is great. And then Subin suggested, I will cook something delicious for you tonight, okay? What do you want to eat? Kang Jun replied, anything is fine. Next, she suggested then, how about we go to the supermarket to buy groceries together? We could also eat out, then stop by a playground or a kids' cafe with Kyola. Suddenly, Kang Jun interrupted Nuna. I am sorry. I just want to rest at home today. I'm just a little tired. At the same time, he put a hand to his chin, thinking, if I invite him to the supermarket, Old Man Krasley would probably love it. A thought popped into his head. If something happens, Old Man Krasley will protect her and Seola. Subin immediately became excited. Really? Then I will go with him. Okay? Just then, Don So's voice was heard echoing, I am going, Subin said cheerfully. Then get some good rest, okay? Seeing this, Kang Jun smirked. Perfect. And then he remembered something. That place. I saw it before and was planning to go. Now I can finally go there by myself. In Kang Jun's mind's eye was a cafe. Surely a new volume of Hunter x Hunter has been released while I was missing, right? It has been 300 years since I last saw this place. Returning to the present, the scene changes to the shopping district. Don Sho exclaimed excitedly, Princess Subin, I have found another free sample. He ate and remarked with delight, being able to enjoy unlimited delicious food without paying. This free sample corner is just like heaven. Seeing this, Subin could only hold her head in exasperation, while old Dronzer fed a sample to Seola. Come on, princess, open wide. After tasting the food, the little girl's 2 eyes sparkled. So yummy, Dronzer then took a bite of the snack with relish. I'm going to eat at this supermarket sample corner forever. Seola also raised her hand and cheered, forever. Next, he fed another piece to the little angel beside him. The whole family enjoying the supermarket samples together, Dronzer continued to sing, oblivious to the dark expression on the employee's face, rocking out to the joy of free food. Supermarket sample corner. After a deep sigh, a sweating Subin looked over and said, I will take 1 bag of dumplings, please. Suddenly, an alarm rang throughout the supermarket, making them look up in confusion. At the same time, an announcement blared from the speakers. Attention shoppers, a large gate has just appeared near Slim Sagari. The employee cheerfully announced the new issue of Hunter x Hunter still is not out, sir. Kangjun's face darkened as he froze on the spot. That is not what I meant. What does this mean? He replied with a gentle smile. Actually, when I enlisted in the military 3 years ago, I was sure it would have been released by now. The employee joked nonchalantly, but it is still not out, and 3 years have passed since then. He gritted his teeth in indignation. Only 3 years I have been waiting for 300 years. He broke out in a cold sweat on the spot. You've been waiting for a while, sir. Just a moment, let me introduce you to the hottest series right now. It's so popular they even released a special print edition. Kangjun then sat quietly and read the book. He stared blankly at the title for a moment. This is Bongu's story, isn't it? Kangjun then flipped through a few pages of the comic. Someone as weak as Bongu with a difficult family background. A coming-of-age story, huh? It's quite interesting. What is this? A 9th circle mage was defeated that easily. He angrily threw the comic down on the table. Even if Bongu is weak, no matter how strong he gets, does it make sense for him to overwhelm a 9th level soul-controlling mage like that? Kangjun leaned back in his chair and sighed heavily. I'd rather have gone to the supermarket with them. What a waste of effort. Come to think of it, how many years has it been since I last took a nap? Gradually, he drifted off into a dream. If I sleep, those nightmares will come back again. Lately, I've been feeling sleepy all the time. Maybe it's finally time for me to get some real sleep. When I couldn't break that ancient nightmare curse, memories quickly flooded Kangjun's mind. What a pity. If only the beautiful Queen Ariel was still here. She could at least alleviate my nightmares. He crossed his arms, thinking idly, I wonder how my subordinates are doing now. Everyone was stuck in the supermarket's basement. A news alert appeared. A large-scale spatial gate has just appeared near Sinlim Crossroads. All customers are requested to evacuate to the supermarket's underground shelter immediately. Everyone was anxiously murmuring, Sinlim Crossroads. My friend lives there. What should I do? Subin looked up uneasily. And what about Kangjun? He's probably home alone. Dronzer quickly tried to calm the situation. Lady Subin, please forgive my impudence, but you don't need to worry. The master will be fine. She quickly turned and asked, really? He confidently whispered into the lady's ear. He reached a state of near immortality a long time ago. No weapon can even scratch his body. Subin stepped back in surprise. For real? Dronzer crossed his arm, lowered his head, and analyzed. That's right. It's truly a marvel. The royal scholars spent 100 years researching ways to help him find eternal rest. And still, they failed. Kangjun's words were still remembered vividly. From this day forward, all of you shall research a way for me to find eternal sleep. He recounted seriously when the master gave that order. They proposed many methods. If I remember correctly, the first was to jump from the world tree at the edge of the world. Dronzer shrugged helplessly, but only the tree's roots broke. He waited to be incinerated in hell, but after a month passed and nothing happened, he got bored and left. Suddenly, he chuckled with great amusement. I also remember he used to drink a type of poison daily, a single drop of which could kill a giant. And yet the more he drank, the healthier he became. Despite trying everything, the master still couldn't find eternal sleep and returned to us. Subin, still uneasy, deliberately asked more. Isn't that the very definition of immortality? His house is quite far from Sinlim Crossroads, so he should be fine, right? Dronzer confidently puffed out his chest to guarantee it. The image of the two of them making a deal reappeared in her memory. As long as he doesn't go outside, he'll be fine. Yes, I'll sneak out later. If she asks, just tell her I'm at home, okay? If I get found out because of you, you're dead meat. Yes, milady. He immediately stammered suspiciously. He's definitely safe at home. Suddenly, a loud announcement from a phone caught everyone's attention. I heard that gate has been classified as a disaster-level threat. This is more serious than we thought. The Management Bureau has already deployed a large number of hunters to the nearby area to contain this gate. Subin thought gloomily, I know. I hope nothing happens. That's the kind that can wipe out an entire nation. She emotionally recalled a past event. It's just like the one that appeared 3 years ago. Subin hugged her child tightly. Seola, don't worry, it's okay. Everything will be all right. Now Kangjun woke up in an incredibly cold place. What is this? Am I dreaming? What a terrible nightmare. A notification quickly appeared. You have entered the dimensional gate, sanctuary of Jotun. He was stunned, not understanding what was happening. But very quickly Kangjun regained his usual confident demeanor. I'm inside a gate. The gate must have opened near the comic book cafe. He worriedly thought about his loved ones, Subin and Cheola. So Krasley is with them, so I probably don't need to worry. And so Kangjun stretched, preparing to get started. Actually, this is even better. I don't have to pay the gate fee. He unconsciously praised himself. I even get a gift for taking a nap for real. So Kangjun stepped forward without fear. That's right. The gate of endless joy had appeared. 3 hours later, everyone was confronting an enormous monster. Jihoon dodged its attacks relentlessly, but was unable to defeat it. The 10th ranked S-rank hunter, Ju Jihoon, the swift swordsman. The onlookers immediately began to whisper worried for him. How is he even fighting like that? Is that supposed to be a normal monster? Hrimthur roared and slammed its club down. Jihoon's evasive maneuvers left everyone in awe. Lord Ju Jihoon is incredible. He truly is an S-rank hunter. The other hunters were frozen in place, unable to move. That was the 10th one, wasn't it? If it weren't for that S-rank hunter, we'd all be dead by now. All of us are just standing here like decorations completely useless. They continued to praise him endlessly. Just as expected from the swordsman Ju Jihoon, then Jihoon clutched his chest, about to collapse. Bongo looked at his comrade with worry. It looks like Lord Jihoon is seriously injured. There are still at least a few dozen more monsters, right? And even if by some miracle we manage to take them all down, can we actually defeat the boss of this gate? He closed his eyes, assessing the situation. If they failed, it would be just like 3 years ago. Before he could finish his thought, a tremor rumbled. A notification appeared. All ice giants in the snowy region have been defeated. Bongo was completely stunned. Huh? They all just suddenly collapsed. Hrimthur now grew to an immense size, forcing the hunters to just stare up at it. The boss monster is about to appear. The notifications continued. The guardian of the Jotun sacred land, the frost giant, Hrimthur, has appeared. It roared and declared with certainty, I am the protector of this place, Niflheim, and the apostle of the god, that all Jotun serve. Hrimthur fearlessly gave a command. Before I execute you, for daring to set foot on the sacred land of the Jotun, I will ask one thing. The roars immediately made the hunters collapse. Hrimthur grabbed one of them and asked repeatedly, Where is he? I am looking for the one who entered the Jotun's sacred land with you. Jihoon was injured but refused to yield. What is it saying? He immediately broke free, dealing significant damage to Hrimthur. It hastily turned its head, searching around. Stop that cowardly hiding and show yourself. Just like you did back then, I will slaughter all of your comrades. Even now, Bongu and his teammates were at a loss, doing nothing but standing still. Lord Ju Jihoon alone, it's truly hopeless. It's over. He looked down at the ground in fear. I don't want to die. And so, Bongu ran, shouting loudly, Juhi, I love you. He ran decisively without looking back. I had just seen a glimmer of hope. I can't die like this. Suddenly, Bongu was thrown to the ground in a painful fall. Please. Hrimthur rushed closer and sneered, You arrogant human. Too bad for you? The guardian of Niflheim never lets its prey escape. Powerless, Bongu collapsed onto the snow. I can't die like this. A resounding sound suddenly erupted, striking Hrimthur. So you finally decided to show yourself. Bongu was bewildered, not understanding what was happening. Red magical beasts were summoned in droves, frightening him. What are those? Bongu stared intently, worried. Don't tell me that all of those are magical beasts. Kangjun approached from out of nowhere. Han Bongu, overjoyed, Bongu ran to his friend. What, it's really you, Kangjun? Kangjun casually flashed a bright smile to welcome Bongu. Bongu, what are you doing here? Bongu was dazed, stammering incoherently. Boss, how did you come out from there? Forgetting his fear, Bongu stared blankly. What are you doing here? Kangjun cheerfully sat cross-legged and looked down. Well, things just turned out this way. He tried his best to smile happily. Anyway, I'm glad I ran into you. Bongu quickly came to his senses. Wait a minute. So you're the one who defeated all those monsters? Hrimthur grew anxious and took a few steps back. His brethren? It screamed in fear and despair. What is with that look in his eyes? Why are you looking at the leader of my clan with such a murderous gaze? Hrimthur tried to roar as loudly as it could. A god of all Jotun, I am the apostle of the giant with the sewn-shut mouth, and yet you dare to show hostility towards me. Bongu quickly recalled Hrimthur's earlier words. So you finally decided to show yourself. The person this monster has been looking for all this time. It can't be. It continued to shout and curse loudly. You bastard. You used that cheap necromancy to steal the eternal rest of my brethren. How? Bongu could only stand frozen, unable to move. The pressure was terrifying. Hrimthur then shot forward like an arrow. I will never forgive you. Bongu's face turned pale with fear. Bro, you have to run. That thing destroyed a rank 10 hunter in the blink of an eye. Kangjun calmly jumped to the ground with a cold expression. Why would he need to run? When he could enjoy this battle to the fullest hearing, that made him even more confused by this confidence, as the monsters quickly rushed towards their opponent, while Kangjun stood still and casually raised his head. It's not exactly a nickname I like, but it's interesting that, do you have any idea who I am? And Winters didn't answer, but just charged in, attacking relentlessly while shouting, How could I not know? All of Jotun worships the giant with the stitched mouth, and even he is watching you. Bongu looked up in fear, trembling immensely, even though it was his brother in this situation. Kangjun quietly said, word by word, a god. Winters maintained his arrogant attitude and continued, That's not all. Every god is watching you, the one who dared to take the title of X for himself. After hearing this, a doubt grew in Kangjun's heart. When did it start? Ever since I witnessed countless lords of worlds, those self-proclaimed supreme beings, fall one after another before me, unable to even withstand a few of my moves, he unconsciously thought back. I had grown tired of that near-immortal life. And so I prayed and prayed until the existence of the gods truly appeared. Kangjun seriously confronted his opponent to question him. Tell me, do you really think there is any god stronger than me? Winters didn't flinch, but growled a warning. You dare speak such blasphemous words in front of an apostle of the giant with the stitched mouth. You still dare to utter such blasphemy? He then raised his hand to summon his ultimate technique. Well, then pass on a message to your god for me. If we ever meet one day, he will die. Kangjun stood high above, raising his hand to gather power into his palm. Winters frowned in bewilderment, anticipating what would happen next, as did his brothers. A monster with an incredibly grotesque form was instantly summoned by Kangjun's power. Bongu froze on the spot, trembling. What in the world is this? It was a six-eyed monster, created to confront Winters. He gaped at the bizarre creature before him. What is this thing? Before he could even wonder, the monster lunged to attack him. Winters was sent flying far back by a powerful blow. Kangjun chuckled and asked again, So do you still think your god is stronger than me? He stammered, unable to speak. How could anyone possibly possess power like this? He stood with his arms crossed, watching his opponent get completely thrashed. I'll ask again. Do you think that bastard is stronger than me? And Winters had no time to answer, only to scream in despair. Bongu's face went blank at the utterly horrifying situation. Is he dead? Kangjun glanced over. Hey, don't say such ominous things here. That's really bad luck. That's exactly the kind of line that brings the dead back to life. That's right, big bro. Just used that kind of resurrection spell earlier. The many-eyed monster unleashed a devastating blow that made everything shake as if it would collapse. Bongu, still dazed, remarked. Even so, he's probably crushed to a pulp by now. Kangjun crossed his arms, thinking it's kind of like playing with slime. He asked in surprise, Slime? Huh? He nodded and then said sagely, Yes, it's that sensory game. It helps children develop their sense of touch and creativity. I just applied the same principle, but in a slightly different way. Mix the Jotun soldier's materials thoroughly, stir with magic to let it solidify a bit, then mold it into the desired shape, and you're done getting back on topic. Kangjun happily boasted to his brother. Bongu, what do you think? I made a golem. This patchwork creation was inspired by that game. So what do you think? He quickly urged him. Come on, graded. Bongu awkwardly scratched his head and rambled. It has a classical quality, not quite Renaissance. It's not completely Baroque either. Maybe it's avant-garde with a touch of Nordic flair. Kangjun's eyes lit up. Oh, Bongu, you really have a keen eye. Hey. Did you study art or something? He continued with his arms crossed, challenging his opponent. Anyway, you talk a lot for someone who can't back it up. It's true that the weak are always the loudest. Bongu looked anxiously at his brother, thinking he took down that monster so effortlessly. Then suddenly Kangjun snapped his fingers without breaking a single drop of sweat. The many-eyed monster instantly vanished into nothingness. Big bro, you're truly Bongu's admiration for his brother grew even more. He truly is a great emperor. It's no surprise that a mere flick of his hand is enough to wipe out his enemies. Notifications quickly appeared. You have defeated the Dreamer Guardian of the Jotun Sanctuary. The gate to the Jotun Sanctuary will disappear in 1 hour. Achievement, unlocked A rank, the one who strikes fear into all giants. A giant with a stitched-shut mouth is now hostile towards you. All gods of the Asgard constellation are now hostile towards you. Your presence has grown stronger. Kangjun read it all and casually waved his hand. Hostile, huh? Well then if they're that bothered, they can just come find me. Wait, what is this? Only 2 notifications caught Kangjun's attention. Summoning conditions have been met for the Covenant Beast Ariel. He stood there stunned and bewildered for a few seconds. You can now summon your Covenant Beast. Ariel, I can finally summon her. And so feeling invigorated, Kangjun reached out to cast his new skill. Queen of the Abyss Ariel. He confidently channeled his power, shouting each word. Answer my call. From within the magic circle, Ariel immediately appeared with a somber aura. Bongu unconsciously raised a hand to cover his eyes, but still wanted to peek. Bro, what is that? Ariel hurriedly bowed her head. Master. She immediately looked up, revealing her delicate features. Is she really a person? Her red and teary eyes gazed at Kangjun. Bongu was captivated for a few seconds. So beautiful. Kangjun happily waved at Ariel. Have you been well? Without a moment's hesitation, Ariel rushed over. She hugged him tightly. So warm. Master.